Let's start this off with one of the best and most underrated movie games of all time. One of Capcom's best classics on the Super Nintendo, Aladdin had smooth controls, had great music, and showed a variety of different levels, all while keeping to the movie. The only problem with this game is Abu. Abu does absolutely nothing but follows you around and eats all your apples. And then, when you think he's finally ready to do something and fight, he stands all the way up there. Yeah. Oh man, if you want to talk about an awesome platformer for the Genesis, Rocket Knight Adventures had perfect controls, great graphics, and the music was just stellar for its time. As far as the platforming goes, it added hack and slash action and solid platforming to make a game incredible for its time. The only thing I don't understand is, why was this game so underrated when it came out? Think about it. You're playing as a possum named Sparkster who runs around killing people with a sword and a rocket pack. God, I love this game. If you fancy yourself hardcore, then you have probably played Symphony of the Night before. Not only did it have a killer soundtrack, a brutal difficulty, and spot-on platforming, but my favorite aspect of this game was the RPG elements that Konami added to create one of the best games in the Castlevania series. If you want a classic old-school game that you really need to get back to, then you need to download this must-buy classic from Xbox Live. Donkey Kong Country is one of the smoothest platformers ever. There was so much crap you could do in this game. You played as Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong and bounced all over birds, lizards, and a bunch of other things. The coolest thing about this game though is when you get to ride on crazy shit like a rhino, an ostrich, a swordfish, and a frog. Who the hell thinks this up for a game? You have a giant monkey riding on a giant frog or ostrich, running around stomping on other animals. It's still pretty awesome though. The Metroid series is some of the greatest games ever, and Super Metroid is no exception. It takes everything you love in a platforming action-adventure game and makes it 30 times better. It had great power-ups, a great story, epic boss fights, and had the most badass chick in gaming as your playable character. You know, Samus has never been in a bad game, ever, and this one's probably her best. Easily one of the greatest classics on the Super Nintendo. You can't get more action in an NES game than Contra. This shoot everything on the screen with awesome power-ups platformer is everything you want in a game. One of Konami's greatest classics ever, Contra is considered one of the greatest games on the NES, let alone as a platformer. It had great controls, great music, and taking the spreader rifle and filling the screen with red dots of doom is always a blast to do. And if you're a true gamer, then you know by heart the infamous Contra code. You knew Mega Man would be on this list, but which one? Well, since we must pick the best platformer, we had to go with Mega Man X. Not only is the platforming amazing, the game had smooth gameplay, great graphics, and had a bunch of different badass power-ups. But the greatest thing about this game is pulling a Hadouken from Street Fighter 2. And if that's not cool enough, it's a one-hit kill move. That's so f***ing awesome. Sonic is one of my favorite gaming franchises of all time, or at least the old school franchise. And even though all of the original Sonic games for the Genesis and CD were amazing, Sonic 3 had the overall best platforming. The game was so fast, had great power-ups, had all the great qualities from its predecessors that made them great, and as far as the music goes, I would like to confirm that yes, Michael Jackson did write most of the music for this game. So I give my respect to the King of Pop for creating some of the best gaming tunes in the 90s and for the Sonic franchise. When it comes to platforming games, everyone thinks of the plumber. Hell, the original Super Mario Bros. Set the standard for all platformers to follow after it. But I put Mario 3 on this list not because everybody thinks it's the best Mario game ever. It's because of the power-ups that made this game so unique. You got bears turning to stone, frog suits, and flying raccoons. Yeah. Well, to be honest, you could put whichever Mario game you think deserves to be on this list, but I believe the third game had all the best aspects of solid 2D Mario platforming. Little Big Planet has every single aspect you would want in a 2D platformer, and then some. Let's face it, Sackboy is the cutest main character for a game ever, and you can make him however you want him to be. The game uses a few 3D aspects to layer more platforming into the 2D frame. It has the most perfect controls ever, unique power-ups, reactions to the environment, colorful and perfectly detailed levels, next-gen graphics at their best, and so much more. The best aspect of LBP is definitely multiplayer. Not only can 4 players play at the same time, online or off, but the game has no end due to the limitless creativity options. There will always be new levels and customizable items via DLC created by gamers to help support the life of one of the most addicting games ever, making Little Big Planet Payday 513's best 2D platformer of all time.